Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business and let's wake up the football gods here as we await 11 days from now. It will be Super Bowl Sunday, the last week of the NFL season, and it's about to become NFL winter. Although we do have the XFL, and we will be at the inaugural game in DC as the DC Defenders take on the Seattle, whatever they are. But forget about that right now. Right now, this is the calm before the storm. I am a person who loves history. I love studying history. I love that you can look back on things that have happened to the past and relate it to today. You can almost see where history repeats itself. You can get clues into ways to deal with life today from what's happened in the past. There are no real new ideas. There's just evolution of ones. At least that's my way of looking at things. I have up here my football gods, the 77 Dallas Cowboys. Now, the thing that I like that I've been hearing from Mike McCarthy, one of the things that I've liked that I've been hearing from Mike McCarthy is when he talks about how he is going to fit the scheme to the players as opposed to the players to the scheme. Because not everybody fits every scheme. You have quarterbacks, some of them that are just gunslingers and have a really deep ball arm, but can't do the intermediate and short stuff. They're not accurate for those timing routes. And so you have to figure out, okay, what fits this guy best? And nothing was more evident with that than Jason Garrett and the Dallas Cowboys, because everything was, this is our scheme. You've got to take what you have and fit that scheme. We can't alter it at all. And you've seen many players that have come here haven't fit that scheme exactly the way Jason Garrett had it, and they don't succeed here, but then they go on elsewhere and become great. Great coaches understand that you take the talent that you have and you figure out a way. If a guy is a great player, he might not fit your scheme, but we're going to find a way to use him. See, that's the reason why we drafted Taco Charlton instead of TJ Watt. He wasn't the guy that we deemed was fitting our system. We understand he's gotten a lot of sacks. We understand the lineage that he has and the family and all that. But, he's not fitting our scheme exactly. A player is a player, and you find a way to use playmakers. So I want to take a little look back, because as I watch this clip of the 77 Dallas Cowboys, everything that's there, the keys for this season are right there.
I'm Vern Lundquist, along with Frank Lieber and Brad Sham, and the Cowboys favored to win this game and go on and meet either Oakland or Denver in the Super Bowl championship 2 weeks from today.
I just remember having this great sense of confidence. We can beat anybody. I mean, we really can. We can take the field, and if we're on, we can win.
And Charlie Waters has got himself a piece of the record book with his third interception of the day.
I'll put our defensive team against any defensive team in the history of the NFL.
The Cowboys have their second interception of the first quarter.
Those were all really, really, really good players. There were no rejects playing there.
Intercepted by the Cowboys at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, I think that was the best defense in Cowboy history.
That away, okay, that's the boy. That's the way to go, okay? That's the way to go. That's Tatum.
Landry always told us on defense, if you can hold your opponent to 17 points, we're going to win. Our attitude was, forget 17 points. We're going to shut people down.
With the second overall selection in the 1975 draft, a pick that came courtesy of a trade that sent quarterback Craig Morton to the New York Giants, the Dallas Cowboys drafted University of Maryland star Randy White, the Manster, half man, half monster.
If you could say, okay, what player would you not want
Hall of
manage
Famer.
or to come after you? It'd be Randy White, because He is not only tough, he's big and fast, and he'll run you down and get you. There's a very small list of players I would pay to see play, and Randy White's at the head of that list. Relentless, unbelievable. Randy White was a force of nature, an absolute freak.
White was at the top of a rookie class in 1975 that famously became known as the Dirty Dozen.
Obviously, we had 12 rookies that are trying to rebuild that football team. But I think, we brought some enthusiasm to that team. We all played special teams, and nobody expected us to go anywhere.
Having begun his pro career at middle linebacker before becoming a defensive tackle, White was joined by linebackers Thomas Henderson, Bob Brunig, and Michael Hegman, and defensive backs Randy Hughes and Rollie Woolsey. Together, they provided an immediate boost to a defense in transition.
Wholesale changes were planned on being done by the Cowboys in 1975. And every one of these guys had an impact on the team.
Many of the men who had laid the foundation for greatness on both sides of the ball were now gone. But the biggest loss was felt with the retirement of defensive tackle Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy. It was the play of a defense built around the leadership of Lilly that in the 1960s led local sports writer Gary Cartwright to come up with one of the most famous nicknames in all of sports, Doomsday.
I remember very distinctly in the Cotton Bowl, and I was the only rookie to make the starting lineup, and Bob Lilly looked across the line at me and said, we're going to the Super Bowl this year, rookie, and I don't want you to do anything to mess it up. He said that, really did say it to me, and it showed the commitment that those guys had at that time.
Entering his sixth year with the Cowboys in 1975, free safety Cliff Harris was now part of the team's veteran core. But even with the talent still on hand, expectations for the Cowboys heading into that season were admittedly low.
We came off of a season that we didn't go to the playoffs. And so I think there's a lot of people saying, the Cowboy dynasty is gone.
I am going to stop it right there. So you had an aging team that was disappointing, and it was thought that their window was closed. They missed the playoffs. The takeaways that I get from this and clues that give me hope, because here, listen to that. Charlie Waters had 3 interceptions in a game. We had 7 interceptions on the season. You must take the football away. We did not do that last year at all. 7 freaking interceptions. When you compare the 15 takeaways we had on the season to, say, 35 that New England had, everybody says Tom Brady's great. Well, when you get 35 extra chances to score, the odds are in your favor. You get a short field. You see Aaron Rodgers, everybody keeps saying, oh, it was the defense stinks. It was those 4 takeaways that he gave the other team that also helped that onslaught. Because when you take away the football, the defenders, they may have just come off the field. They're over there drinking some water. They're talking to the coach about what went wrong, and all of a sudden, defense. Now, where's my helmet? Shit, I got to get out on the field. That's when big plays happen. That's when people get ate up. We never had those chances this year. Rookies. They got an influence of rookies that added to that team. That was an influx of talent. And everybody played special teams, including Randy White, because they knew special teams were important. Do you think that we thought special teams were important this year? Being the worst in almost every category in special teams? No. Ed Too Tall Jones, one of my football gods up here, It's amazing how many of those football guys that we just saw are up here. Tom Landry instilled in us, if we hold the team to 17 points, we'll win the game. Screw that. We're going to shut them down. We will shut them down. I agree. How many times do we have to score 31 points to win this past year? This team, much like our team, was in a transition. They lost Mr. Cowboy, the original Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly. They got this young talent, and they drafted a defensive, well, he was originally a linebacker, but they made him one of the greatest defensive tackles in football, and he changed games. So people say, hey, you know, where are we going to draft? You know, I've heard some people say, well, let's get a wide receiver. It's like, listen, you've got the offense that's had more yardage than anybody else. You might make the offense a little better, but wide receivers are something that usually take a couple of years to mature. What you need to do is fix your special teams and defense. And the thing that has eluded the Dallas Cowboys since the 90s is focusing in on a one technique guy. The defensive line. We keep using guys that are, you know, they're okay, they're small and quick. No, understand that Randy White changed football for the Dallas Cowboys. Randy White was the influx of talent that made all the difference in the world. And for me in the draft, you know, people say, oh, take a safety. Well, you know, we could have Warren Thornhill in the second round last year. There were a lot of safeties on the board where we sat. There weren't a lot of defensive tackles. Tristan Hill was the best one that was on there, and thus far, he hasn't shown much. Defensive tackles, game changers, there are not many out there. And that's where the Dallas Cowboys and this defense needs to go. This defense is a transition. We're going to probably be changing, I don't know if this year or the next year, changing defensive formation. And that's where you look at it and say, the 17th pick, I'm going to get the meanest, nastiest SOB game changer to go in the middle. I'll look for my safety in second round. Or maybe I make a move and try and get a Jamal Adams, but we just not paying a number one pick in Zach Martin. But to me, if you want this team to be there in the Super Bowl, you have got to get where we belong in defense. And the signature that always was the Dallas Cowboys in winning Super Bowls was a great defense. Yeah, Roger Staubach and Drew Pearson and Tony Dorsett and, of course, Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith. They got all the headlines, but it was the defense that did the dirty work. And our defense is a long, long way from being that. And the other thing, they never named themselves. They didn't go out and say, we the hot boys. Let's come up with a new name for us. No. Other people looked at what they did on the field and said, man, you play against that team, it's like doomsday. You let your work do your talking for you, and that's the way it should be. So tomorrow we are going to Miami. We'll be there through the Super Bowl. We'll be showing you the Super Bowl city in transition from being just South Beach, people hanging out, to being Super Bowl City. We'll be bringing you looks from inside of NFL Experience and things. We'll be live streaming. We'll be at some different events and things like that. So we'll be giving you Super Bowl coverage a little different than what you see on ESPN and things like that. And if you're going to be at the Super Bowl or in Miami and things like that, stay close to the channel and stuff, because we might do some meetups and things with you and get you on the Joe Boo Sports Report. But right now, I got to go get to my day job, because I've got all of those football racks that I got to get in the mail today. And so I've got to finish putting them together. So as always, friends, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being a part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. One last thing. If you have become a channel member, you have gotten one of the paid channel memberships, and you have not sent me your address and your name so I can get you your shot glass, please do so this morning so that way I can get them in the mail before I go. Thank you, everybody who has joined. We're going to be doing some more special stuff for you members and things like that because we're trying to raise funds so that way we do bigger and better events this year. We're looking at the draft. We're looking at the Hall of Fame. We're looking at tailgating with FedEx Field, also in Baltimore, and of course going to a couple of games in Dallas. So we are going to make 2020 even bigger here on the Jobu Sports Report. I'm Mark Holmes, and well, I've run on a little too long today, but I'll see you in my workshop later.